Have you heard the news about global celebrities and famous YouTubers moving to Japan? But visiting for a week or two is totally different from actually moving here and making Japan your home base. Japan has a lot of unique culture and rules that might seem strange at first. So while it's exciting, a lot of people probably feel nervous too. Maybe you like, will I be okay if I can't speak Japanese? What's the work environment really like? To answer those questions, today I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know, from jobs and visas to the benefits of living in Japan, and even those unspoken rules you should watch out for, all with the latest info. By the end of this video, your new life in Japan should feel a whole lot more real. Alright, let's dive in. First, let's talk about the foundation you need to live in Japan. If you want to stay long-term, you're obviously going to need the right visa. Most people get a work visa or a student visa, but there's one important thing you should know here. With statuses like cultural activities, student or dependent, you generally aren't allowed to work in Japan. If you want to work even part-time, you'll need to apply for special permission, called permission to engage in activity other than that permitted. If you work without it, you could get into serious trouble, so make sure you handle the paperwork carefully from the start. Then, let's talk about something everyone's curious about: the working environment in Japan. Japan used to have a reputation for extreme overtime, but these days, thanks to government reforms, more and more companies are focusing on work-life balance. That said, because of the weak yen, people from Europe or the US might think, salaries are lower than I expected. On the flip side, things like eating out and public transportation are often much cheaper than in the West. Conditions vary hugely depending on the job and company, so do your research and find what fits you best. Next, let me introduce 3 benefits that are truly unique to living in Japan. Number 1, it's incredibly safe. Japan consistently ranks among the safest countries in the world. Looking at 2023 data, the gap between Japan and the US is huge. Homicides, about 19,000 in the US versus 912 in Japan. Robberies, roughly 220,000 in the US compared to just 1,361 in Japan. Even when you take the population difference into account, those numbers are still incredibly low. You'll also see police boxes called koban all over the place, with officers watching over the neighborhood, and the chances of getting lost items back are surprisingly high. That's one of Japan's unique charms. Number 2, unmatched convenience. Japanese cities are extremely well designed when it comes to everyday infrastructure and public services. Convenience stores in particular are incredibly useful. They are open 24 hours a day, and you can do almost anything there, from grabbing tasty rice balls or hot snacks to sending packages and even buying event tickets. 100 yen shops are another lifesaver, especially when you first move in. From batteries and detergent to surprisingly stylish home decor items, everything costs just 100 yen, right after you move in. Heading to a 100 yen shop first is honestly one of the smartest ways to save money. Number 3, the perfect balance between nature and entertainment. Japan is often seen as a high-tech country, but in reality, about 67% of its land is covered in forests, making it a true nature-rich nation. You can ski in Hokkaido in winter and dive in Okinawa in summer. Japan has no shortage of must-see amusement parks for fans of Disney. Universal Studios Japan, Ghibli Park, and Fuji-Q Highland. You'll almost never run out of ideas when it comes to weekend destinations. The nightlife is just as lively. People who enjoy drinking can head to cozy izakaya pubs, and anyone in the mood to sing can jump into a karaoke room. And even if alcohol isn't your thing, you can still have an amazing night out at late-night museums or game arcades that stay open well into the evening. From here, let's talk about some of the cultural barriers you might run into when living in Japan. I'll explain for situations that are particularly unique to Japan. First, the reality that English isn't widely spoken. Unfortunately, getting through daily life in Japan using only English is still a bit challenging. Some data suggests that only about 7% of Japanese people speak English at a business level. Although everyone studies English in school, the focus is mostly on reading and writing, so many people don't feel confident actually speaking it. That's why being able to say even simple greetings in Japanese can instantly make people treat you much more warmly. Second, the senpai-kohai system and a culture of respect. Japan still has a strong sense of vertical hierarchy, where age and career length are deeply respected. Even a 1-year difference can mean speaking much more politely to someone senior to you. It's a system designed to show respect and maintain harmony. But until you get used to it, it can feel a bit restrictive. Third, unspoken rules and Japan's sense of time. Japan has countless unwritten rules that everyone is expected to follow. For example, people usually avoid phone calls and keep their voices down on trains. Using your phone while walking or eating as you go is generally frowned upon. There are even escalator rules standing on the left in Tokyo and on the right in Osaka, leaving one side open for people who want to walk. Above all, punctuality is treated as an absolute rule. Arriving at least 5 minutes early for a meeting is considered the highest form of respect. If that strict, structured feeling isn't for you, you might even consider life in Okinawa, where things move at a much slower, more relaxed pace. Fourth, slow digitalization and a cash-based society. Government procedures in Japan still rely heavily on paper forms and in-person visits, which can definitely feel inconvenient. Cashless payments are spreading, but many small private shops and taxis in rural areas still operate on a cash-only basis. Keeping around 10,000 yen in your wallet at all times is one of the smartest ways to get through daily life in Japan smoothly. Let me share some essential things you should definitely do in order to enjoy your life in Japan to the fullest, far beyond just getting by. First and foremost, making an effort to learn Japanese is absolutely key. Translation apps have become incredibly advanced these days, of course, but being able to say simple things like "this is delicious" or "thank you" in your own words can dramatically reduce everyday stress and make daily life feel much smoother. And once you make friends with local people, they might even take you to wonderful hidden spots that you would never find in any guidebook. Another important step is getting comfortable with Japan's transportation system. Stations in Tokyo, in particular, can feel incredibly complex, almost like navigating a maze for the first time. Apps like Google Maps and train transfer planners are absolute must-haves. Some of them even tell you which train car to board in order to make your transfer easier. And once you learn how to use them properly, the stress of getting around can practically disappear. If you ever run into trouble with public transportation or local rules, just remember these 2 helpful resources. First, make use of station service counters and information desks. When you feel lost, don't hesitate, go straight to a station staff member and ask for help. They are professionals, so they can clearly and accurately explain even the most confusing exits. At larger stations, you can also find information centers that provide assistance in English, so you can feel much more at ease. Second, local government multilingual portal websites. Be sure to check the official website of the city or ward where you live. If you search for your area name plus English portal, you should be able to find pages that clearly explain things like garbage disposal rules, disaster prevention information, and important administrative procedures. So today, we covered quite a lot about what everyday life in Japan is really like. How did you find it? Before we wrap things up, let's quickly review the most important points one more time. First, it's absolutely essential to clearly understand visa regulations and employment rules in Japan. Second, Japan offers a wonderful living environment where public safety, everyday convenience, and beautiful natural surroundings all exist side by side. Third, you may encounter cultural differences like fewer English speakers or unspoken social rules, but you'll get used to them little by little. Fourth, the fastest way to make your daily life more comfortable is by studying Japanese and making good use of transportation apps. Japan is truly an exciting country where cutting-edge modern life blends seamlessly with long-cherished traditions and long-standing social customs. At first, you might be surprised by a bit of culture shock, but once you learn to enjoy and appreciate those differences, Japan can become an incredibly comfortable and welcoming place to live. On Movin, you can search for apartments in Japan from anywhere in the world. We offer support in Japanese, English, Chinese, and Vietnamese. So be sure to check out our official website from the link in the description. If you thought this video was helpful or interesting, please subscribe and hit the like button. Well then, see you in the next video. I'm cheering with all my heart for your happy life in Japan. Bye.